Cathy Donald was born in Port Elizabeth, South Africa in 1959. She has written for as long as she can remember stories, scripts for plays and musical productions. She followed a career in medicine and practiced as a medical doctor in both rural and urban settings. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she has been involved on various fronts within her general practice, in the hospitals, and on a telephonic helpline. On this experience, she wrote a recently published book entitled Breathless, in collaboration with Eurobox. We have the chance today to interview Cathy, who's here connected with us. Hi, Cathy. Welcome to Conoscere TV.
Thanks, Ginevra.
Please, let's deepen Breathless then. What is this book about?
Breathless is basically about the experience of a healthcare worker in the COVID-19 landscape. So it takes the form of a story with a healthcare professional and her family, and then also other healthcare professionals and their families, and the interactions that go on just in normal life, but also how this changed when COVID-19 came into the picture, and what happened and how it changed their relationships and how it changed everything really about how they conducted their lives.
What was the reason why, or the moment when you decided to write and then publish the book?
So I think when COVID-19 came, and obviously we as doctors, I come from a family of healthcare professionals, and we were to various degrees associated with the whole COVID-19 pandemic. Part of it, I think, was cathartic. So I just felt that I needed to say what we were all going through. My husband is an anesthesiologist, similarly to the main character, Emily. And so a lot of what I wrote about, I know from him, from his experience in the intensive care unit. So that was part of it. But also the other thing was that during the pandemic, a lot of patients, a lot of friends turned to me and said, but what is happening? You know, is this real? That was in the first wave. People would say, is this actually real? Does this really happen? Is it all a fantasy? They hadn't even known anybody who had COVID-19. They didn't know anybody who died from it. And we were going through absolute drama in the hospitals, especially. And I just felt that people needed to know that this is a reality and that this does happen. And the knowledge curve between the man in the street and between us as healthcare professionals was so great that I needed to bridge that gap and just really tell people how things were going and what was happening.
So is this a reading for actually anyone who is interested in the theme, or is there a specific target of readers you had in mind?
No, I think it's for everybody, because it is a novel, and really basically it is about families and what they were going through. It's not just about Emily and her doctor colleagues. It is about everybody and how they responded to what was going on. So it's a story about everybody and during a pandemic and what happened. And specifically for us in South Africa, obviously I write about what I know, and our experience of COVID was different maybe from other countries, but it is an experience of what happened in the South African situation.
So we know that the book, as expected, is receiving very good reviews and comments, but do you remember the very first comment on this book?
I can remember certainly when I got my copies of it and distributed to people who had read my other books and were keen to read it. I can remember there was a very positive response. A very good friend of mine who always reads all my books had said to me that she could see in it what we had all been going through, and that she had learned a lot more about what we had been going through. And I think that, to me, she actually would message me with little page numbers and say, I can see this and where it came from within our setting. So that, yes, that was the first real positive comment that I got.
Okay, Cathy, thank you. As a last but not least curiosity, I would like to know if you have a message you would like to tell your readers now that you have the chance to.
I think my message essentially comes from two sources, one medical, and obviously as a health professional, that COVID-19 is very real. And now that we are in an era that is that has vaccination, that wasn't so when I wrote the book, just to tell people to protect themselves. It was a great shock to us as a healthcare community to be involved in a pandemic. And now that it has seemed to be a lot more diluted, the experiences that patients are having, because the virus seems to be much more attenuated. Although it is diluted, it can mutate and we can get other viruses, and we just really need to learn something. The other thing that I would like to say was that obviously the whole story of Emily Harper, the main character, is one of how she was a perfectionist and how she struggled to, if she achieved something, unless it was perfect, it meant nothing. And I just feel in this world that we've got to be kind to ourselves, and that we must be high achievers, but we cannot be perfectionists. We really do have to lead our lives in a way that is that we're not going to destroy ourselves in doing it. And that's, I think, a lot of what Emily was doing and how she changed during the course of the book.
Thank you, Cathy. Thank you for your time, for the opportunity of this interview today. And we want to wish you very good luck with your book on the market.
Thank you, Ginevra. Lovely talking to you.
Donald experiences in the foreground the coming of an enemy that she learns to know, as many other healthcare professionals still do, through the eyes and lives of people who could not save themselves. Donald's work wisely merges everyday situations, never free from their highs and lows, into a wider contemporary background which is now perceived more volatile than ever. Breathless by Cathy Donald is now available in bookstores and digital platforms. It's a publication by Eurobooks.